Knife Watch. This is 5 things you didn't know about the Doug Ritter Mini-RSK. And some of the people that have asked me to talk about this knife and have asked me some questions, they really did want me to compare it to the Benchmade Mini Freak in S90V. And I hear you, so I will do a battle, but I do need some more time with it if I'm going to do that. But for now, and for the sake of an update, let's just give you 5 things you didn't know before I get into that. So when we do the battle, it's fair, it's clear and easy. I did do a review of the Mini Freak, or the Mini Super Freak, and so I think it would be fair for me to really get this research out here for myself and others before I make a decision. So the first thing you didn't know about the Doug Ritter Mini-RSK is that it's actually got a blade profile that's going to work for a lot of people. It's beautiful. It's got this awesome stone wash on it. And for me, it's something that not everybody really thinks about when they buy a knife, but the way that the knife wears, you know, the actual look of the blade actually matters more than we think. So when we take a look at the actual stone wash on here, so this is going to hide wear. So you get this fancy new knife, right? You're really excited about it, and then you finally cut something, and you just have these marks on it, you know, that look kind of ugly and weird. And then every time you open up your knife, you see that mark, and you're like, man, when I cut that banana box open, you know, it really wasn't really worth the mark I've got on my knife. And you don't really love that when you buy a knife, especially one that's got a decent price point, right? So this is going to hide wear well. And this is something that I think makes this, the first thing you didn't know about it, an excellent everyday carry knife for people who actually use their knives. For people who don't actually use it, we're going to get into that in a little bit. But the first thing I would say is, listen, the grind is really good. You know, I think it's got a very thin grind. It's not the thinnest in the world, but it's got a tall blade and kind of like a clip point and almost like a drop point mix or hybrid. And it's really a natural place when you're trying to, you know, use the blade with the thumb stud. The thumb stud's in the right place. It's not getting in the way of where you're going to be using it. So I think when you kind of stretch out the height of the blade, it makes the knife thinner behind the edge, and that's cool. So I think at the end of the day, the grind here is really good. The width of the cutting bevel is nice. It's got a wide cutting bevel to kind of boost your knife's cutting performance. But one of the things that's not great, it's a little bit of a liability, is that the stock blade is kind of fragile. It's very thin, but I like my blades a little thicker. And I'm not really a huge fan of that. So we'll get into that as we do the Benchmade Mini Freak battle that is to come. The second thing you didn't know about this Mini-RSK from Doug Ritter and Hogue is that it's got the axis lock to end all axis locks. It's a fantastic axis lock. I would say it's honestly probably the best axis lock I've used. It's so easy to operate. The way that they did the texturing on the actual axis lock button, as you can see the texture there, it's fantastic for gripping. That kind of tri-fold piece there. It's also on the thumb stud. These are fantastic for getting that grip, but they're not so sharp that it's going to cut your finger. So the fidget friendliness here is absolutely fantastic. One of the best axis locks, if not the best version of the axis lock in this able lock, we'll call it, I've ever experienced. So the next thing you didn't know about the Doug Ritter Mini-RSK in orange G10 and 20 CV steel is not about any of that stuff. It's about the pocket clip. The pocket clip is a huge disappointment. Look at this. Okay, yeah, it's a clip, and you can put it on your pocket, but what's the point if your knife is going to fall out of your pocket? So I would call MXG Gear ASAP. You know, call somebody to help you out with this clip, because this is just I mean, I can play music here, right? This is good. No. Yeah, not a fan of that. So when it comes to pocket clips, I always wonder, like, how tough should they be? Should they be like the toughest thing in the world? I guess the polar opposite is the ProSec Malibu. This is like a god level grip in terms of pocket clip. I'm trying to fold this up, I can't even do it, right? And then the happy medium is when you actually do get that MXG Gear clip. It's titanium, and you can actually hear that sound. So you can hear that's the strength of it, right? Protecting your knife from coming out. really good tension there, but it's not floppy like a floppy jalopy. It's just, this is just loose. So this is abysmal to me. You know, I don't really typically say negative things about these products because I love all of my gear and knives and watches, flashlights, but this is one of the letdowns of the gear that I've experienced this year. So if you buy this knife, you have to buy another pocket clip. So that raises the price of this knife by around $15 to $40, depending on shipping and packaging. So a knife that probably was going to compete with something like, you know, more affordable knives, no, it's actually punching above it has to punch above its weight class because you have to buy an aftermarket clip, and that's not fantastic. The fourth thing I would say that you didn't know about the Doug Ritter Mini-RSK is that this G10 is best in class. I love this G10. You know, when I heard people like Slicey Dicey and Metal Complex and other people talk about the Hogue, and you know, I was gung-ho about it, but one of the things I really didn't, you know, I'm really skeptical about is when people talk about G10. I'm like, how great can G10 be, right? There's Spyderco G10, and then there's Cold Steel G10, and you know, it's all the same. It's not that great. It's either too aggressive or too soft, or you know, who cares? But what you don't know is that the design that they put on this G10 is really, really amazing. So if you can see here, and I've got some kerfuffle on this, but if you can see here, look at this. I mean, even if you were just looking from a design perspective or just a aesthetic perspective, I mean, this orange G10 looks really cool, just in time for Halloween. It looks great, right? But it's purposeful. So when you're actually fidgeting with this knife, this section right here, where you're gonna do a lot of your fidgeting action for your muscle memory and your fingers, this is actually a fantastic place to really get a good grip and make sure you don't drop this thing on your foot. And it's just fantastic. So when you've got this in hand and you've got a good grip here, I can get a 4-finger grip here, and I wear size large gloves. That's fantastic, right? And my ring finger and my middle finger are gripping the heck out of this. This is not coming out of my hand no matter what. And so that's really, really nice. And then obviously when I'm closing it and readjusting my hand, getting ready to enable that able lock, it's very gratifying, okay? So I'm really a huge fan of this G10. It's better than you think it is if you have not tried it. And the rest of this G10 is very well designed as well. And then you've got this really soft part here, right? It's not sharp in any of the edges, not too many hot spots in this knife, other than that actual place where you want it to be. So very well done, Doug. Very well done, Hogue. Really love that. And the fifth thing you didn't know about the Doug Ritter Mini-RSK is that this is a knife that will make you not like many other knives, because it's so much better than your knives that everybody tells you about. It's really underrated. Not too many people talk about Hogue knives in the same breath as Spyderco or Benchmade, but this is a made in America blade. So if you are American, and it's a really serious thing for you to have only made in America products, don't buy an iPhone then. But if you really do care about that, then you know it's important that you check out Doug Ritter. You know, this is an amazing designer and knife engineer who really came up with a way to boost the brand of Benchmade itself with the Griptilian and Mini Griptilian designs, right? And the way that this thing is designed, it really makes you question, well, are all my big name knives just marketing? Is that just hype? Because this little known secret in the industry is really making me question what the heck else is out there. And we'll go over some other things you may not know about this knife, but upon a review of this, many other people have reviewed this. It's considered one of the best in the industry. You know, this price point, I think it's questionable because of that pocket clip issue. Yet you can change out the scales. There's obviously many different people who recommend this for many different reasons. You got 20 CV steel. The ergonomics, they do need some work, and we'll go over that in the battle with the Benchmade freak. I gotta leave some nuggets for you guys, right? But overall, I think that this is just something that I would pick up and try, yet be ready to buy another pocket clip. Be ready to have a lot of fun with the different options for colors. Yet it's also hard to get your hands on one of these. They do sell fast, and it's really cool. So I'll give you a bonus here. The sixth thing that you didn't know about this is that it's both the safest and one of the most dangerous knives that you can pick up. And I'm very serious about this. I really do need anybody to know. I don't want somebody to watch this review, buy one, and say, hey, you didn't tell me about this. But one of the reasons it's one of the most safe knives that you can buy, let's start there, is the way that where this blade ends when it tucks into the knife, it's hiding behind this screw here. And I just love that. It's just like, where is the tip of this blade? There's no way you could ever cut yourself this or make this blade accidentally, the tip accidentally cut you as you're opening it up. And ironically, that would make it I would say one of the safest knives you can buy. But ironically, the detent on here, I mean, it takes no effort to make it come out. I mean, like, I'm expending, like, you guys can see, like, I'm expending no effort to take this out. Whereas on some other blades, you know, you do need some effort to get out the blade, right? So the detent here is a little bit weak for me, and that makes it dangerous, right? Because if you're pulling this out of pocket, and this, you know, as you take it out of pocket, and maybe your pants snag on this thumb stud, which is thick, and it does have sharp edges, so it can grab onto your pant pocket, you can accidentally unlock the blade or you know, deploy the blade, and that's not as fun. And let's compare that here to the Benchmade Mini Freak. Nope. You gotta wait till the next review. I've been enjoying this blade. Thank you so much, Mark, for sending this over. Go follow Orological Tsunami on Instagram. Thanks again. I want to give you a tough time about this clip because you told me to reverse it. I should have just taken it off and put another MXG gear clip on it. Yet I've been enjoying this. I hope you really come back and do check out the battle when it drops. To make sure that you grab it, hit the icon for the notification bell, like, subscribe, and always keep your knives timeless and your watches sharp. This is Knife Watch. Peace and love.